And I'm thinking, no way would you play on my mind and go and start waving bye-bye.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. We're too telepathic. Yeah, I'm well. It's been, like always, a busy week. Busy
As
week.
always, yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, less of the busy, more of the normal routine.
Continue.
Very unexciting, but yeah, pleased to arrive at the weekend. Anywhere special this week?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So actually, I say busy. I actually went to Italy for a couple of days, so a few days. But somehow it does still feel busy when you're. It's because everything I'm doing is always different to the week before, and that in itself is tiring.
Real life.
And and there's always sort of different things that need kind of pulling back on track. So, but no, I do it to myself. We know this.
Oh, we know this. We know this.
Yeah.
Okay, so last time we had a chat about the show Revival.
Yeah.
And Revival coincided with the release of Overboard.
Yes.
Your first single, your debut single.
Yeah.
As Dulcima music. Let's get in deep on that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, first release, and it was so fun putting it all together, and it took so long in a weird way to get to that point.
Yes.
That we collectively got to that month ago. Like releasing a song, we weren't to know, were we, that it was going to take effectively 2 years more, a little more than 2 years. And that was us deciding which route to even go down when you're releasing music, because you can choose to go in at this level. Well, you can't choose, you can hope to get in at this level, or way down here at sort of bedroom studio level, and any level in between. And we had to
choose,
work out how do we even get music out to the public. Like there are millions of ways now. So
we sort of had our path was slightly chosen for us, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yes.
With regard to the song, but actually we'd had in our mind that this was the track almost from the beginning.
Completely. And actually, this is a really good example. So Overboard is a perfect example for a song. It was written, I was triggered to write it by what it's clearly about at the right time. And am I going into that?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Okay, cool. Well, it was, I'd moved out it was after COVID. I'd moved out into a space on my own. So for the first time in a very long time, I was living on my own, tiny little space. No, hang on, I've lost track. Oh my God, no, wait. Either way, basically, the band were all going off and doing a cruise ship gig. And I had openly said, I don't want to do that. I
think you weren't available as well.
I wasn't. Yeah. That is true. Yeah. No, that is true. Yes, It was the first time I'd actually booked to do a tailoring course in St. Martin's, which was a whole thing. I really wanted to go to St. Martin's way back 10 years ago. So I sort of thought, well, right, let's go and do it now. This summer, 2-week course. And then in comes the booking, last minute as ever.
Yeah.
And it was this.
Well, it was kind of so I think hadn't the booking for you, your tailoring, been moved anyway because of COVID? So you'd kind of struggled date-wise.
Yeah.
And actually, as a band, we were struggling to get sort of normality resuming. This was the summer of 21.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then, as you say, this booking came through that we weren't expecting.
No.
And festivals were kind of a bit, are they happening, aren't they happening?
Yeah.
So the diary wasn't as full as we wanted.
No.
So as the band, it was almost an opportunity we didn't want to say no to.
Absolutely.
You were offered.
Yeah.
It wasn't that you were ever written out of it from the beginning.
No, that's true.
But you already had a booking. Your booking was in the diary, and it had already been cancelled once anyway, or once or twice anyway.
Yeah.
I think it was like a gift as well for you. So it wasn't going to be something that you weren't going to easily cancel for an unknown.
Exactly.
We'd never done this sort of booking. Like we were the house band for the cruise.
Exactly.
And what we knew about the cruise was that it was only on a little sort of sail around and back. We weren't porting anywhere because of the time of year, the COVID still being everywhere. So it felt very much like a trial as a band anyway. Definitely. So it wasn't like you were missing out on a massive headline.
No, that's true.
Big show.
That is true. No, you're right. I'm saying that as if like, oh, I don't want to go. But yeah, it was very much I got the opportunity. I completely got asked, obviously, because I was in the band. But the other thing was, I remember trying to work out if you were going to stop on different en route. I was even then. I clearly was considering it enough because I was thinking, oh, can I get to be at that gig in the evening, which was a mad thought, but that's the way we all thought back then. Could I make it to Portsmouth on time? Could I make it to?
Yeah.
Hell no. Coming from London, that would have been hard. So actually, yeah, and it was the first time I remember the fashion side of my brain won over the music side of the brain for a long time at least. It was like, yeah, and sort of, it wasn't putting my foot down, but it was definitely, it felt like a big thing to say, sort of, no, but you guys are clearly obliged and completely understandably going to do this. And I did, opt out.
Yeah.
And it was all kosher, go with, get an understudy, get someone else to dep in. And so it was, and then I had to kind of go through certain songs with Diana, the singer that was going to follow in my footsteps kind of thing.
Yep.
And that was, it was really, actually at that point, it was very amicable, wasn't it? It was very good.
Yeah.
It was dealt with quite well.
Yeah. The booking was made as under the band name. That was expected. And actually we then went out and we actually had band fans come on ship with us, which was really exciting. As the band name.
Yeah.
So at that point, everything was all agreed. Everyone knew where they stood.
Yeah.
That was the plan. It was still Coke on the Butterfields.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Dulcima just wasn't available.
No.
And so off we went. It was a good time. And then we came back.
Do you know what? I've actually been forgetting the big part of what this song is usually about. Because the part of the song, so the cruise was the start of the next chapter.
Yes.
Really, wasn't it? And actually, Overboard wasn't written about the beginning of that chapter. It wasn't actually written about that cruise. It was written about how everything was dealt with after.
Yep.
Because, of course, then, obviously, actually, you're better at remembering this than me. Way better. My timeline is a scrambly mess.
A different dynamic returned.
Yeah, because it had gone so well, actually. And although that's hard for me to swallow when I was back then, it had gone really well, and everyone had got on.
Yep. But there were still bookings in the diary for the band, and you were going to be doing them. You are the lead singer of the band.
Yeah.
And that should never have been brought into question.
Yes, exactly.
Through to, and this is where you can correct me if I'm wrong, the band often did winter seasons. And in fairness, if I'm not incorrect, you weren't keen on them anyway.
No.
So there was a bit of an opportunity that perhaps the ship dynamic could then become the winter dynamic.
Yes, yeah.
And you didn't disagree with that? You were absolutely fine with that at the time?
Absolutely, yeah.
There was an agreement made?
There was an agreement made, yes. And the reason is, actually, I've just remembered, the cruise ship gigs and the winter gigs, their Alps gigs, they were always quite relentless, and they were always covers. And that was part of the reason, and actually in the Alps, it's a very difficult environment to be singing in every single day. So I always got ill. That was the reason I didn't want to do them. And we had done about 7 years of these. Like we had done them to death. But
and for this first one, sorry.
Yeah.
COVID was still very much a thing.
COVID was still oh my goodness, yeah.
So there was a whole element of wariness of, were you even going to be pulling this off as a band?
Yeah.
Or were they even going to be
No, exactly. And exactly. Because the environments we'd be playing in weren't nice outdoor open. Yeah, they weren't predominantly outdoor open gigs, open air gigs. They were in stuffy pubs, heaving with people. There's no chance that's COVID safe if you were going to be, if that was going to be on red alert. But yes, no, there was a thing of like, okay, cool. Well, we've come back from this. It was a cruise in the summer. Roll on winter. You guys want to carry on doing these winter Alps things. And it made sense to say, cool, go. Like, let's all agree. You guys want to. I didn't. But don't go out under the name that we were.
Yeah, a discussion was had, and actually, if you weren't going to be fronting the band for such a long time, and the
on
Alps,
purpose,
was a long time. That was how the
That's
band
5 months
spent
or
their
so.
winter.
Yeah.
And actually, discussions had happened before, since the cruise, that perhaps band members wanted to have
Morph.
a sideline.
Morph, yeah. And become, you'd say, a function act.
Yes.
If you're going to go out and just do covers, absolutely cool. It's a very good way to make money. That was needed, especially after COVID. That was a really, really good thing. Do that. Don't, you can't morph the two, though.
Yes.
10 years of work with...
So as far as you were concerned...
Got a whole round panel now.
I breathe. A different band name with the majority of faces, but not all, were going out.
Yeah.
Didn't quite happen like that, did it?
No, because as a new act, I'm sure, as a new act going out to the Alps, it would be hard to get gigs, but if you go out under an old name that you've toured with for 7 years, it's very easy to get gigs. Who cares what the girl in the middle looks like?
Yeah.
That's where it was with me. That's where I think, no, it was definitely not like that. That's where the thought was at.
And I think it was a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
When you saw it. But
yeah,
I remember us certainly having a conversation and being like, we don't blame any of them.
No.
Because it might not be.
Yeah,
there could be booking agents involved.
There were loads of different entities.
Hotels involved that have obviously only ever known. Yeah, exactly.
And they'll photo back up. Yeah. No, that is true.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
But then, long story short, it was brought up, and I think, not speaking on your behalf, but you didn't exactly feel listened to.
No. Well, I know
and
I was directly
the anger.
I'm sure I was. But yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. That's where, and it was a kind of, slightly disrespected on behalf of that whole, if you put 10 years of work into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
is actually around the time we sat down together and went,
yeah,
what are we doing?
Let's do this. Well, it's actually the first time I did a demo to a level I was sort of happy with to show anyone else, and it's scary. And not normally you'd show no one. It would stay on a folder on your computer, and you would not show. Maybe.
But this wasn't Overboard at this point.
Wait, what are you talking?
The demo.
Oh no.
But not as we.
No.
This was a very, very.
Yeah.
Reversed.
Yes.
Option, but the birth of.
Yes. It was the first time of even sitting down and trying to put some music purely on my own, and that in itself is a whole difficult journey. When you're doing music, you can sit in a room, play piano, and sing. What's the next level to actually get your friends to listen to it, or to get a recording engineer to listen, or anyone? You have to suddenly buy all this equipment, and suddenly you have to be a recording engineer, and that's where I kept getting unstuck, really halted and stumped, and I was voicing every minute of the painful journey with you. I'm so sorry. I was like, but it's not sounding
and
good.
I loved it.
And you're like, it sounds great. Shut up. Can you just put it out and do something with it? And actually we did a full-on round the houses journey. We're going to talk about that full-on round the houses journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Okay.
So the framework was written. You knew exactly what you wanted to say.
Yep.
And I mean, back then it was being recorded on your laptop, sung in your dining room, the bare bones of what it could have been. And I think there was an element between us of, we've got to get music out now. We've got a proof point.
Yeah.
And we are talking 3 years ago at this point.
Know,
and it's bizarre how far it's come around.
That's why I've forgotten the details of the flipping timeline.
So long ago. But yeah, it was there.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew from work during the band what steps we needed to take to be at the level that you were as part of the band. But in this day and age, that makes us sound so old. It makes us sound so old.
No,
there are other routes now.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
And it was whether or not we could go down those routes, very much social media facing and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do it properly. And we got in touch with publishers.
Always.
That was sort of key.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite the reception we were after. for step one?
No, it wasn't. And it was, we went down this, I remember putting a whole plan together and thinking, right, if we're going to do this properly, and I say that in a kind of at a more professional level, a more funded level, actually, I suppose, that is maybe a step above social media level, because kind of everyone is on the same wavelength. Everyone has the same access to social media. So you are one of literally billions. If you're here and you do this and you're getting represented by a publisher, or you have a label, you're now suddenly one of maybe thousands rather than billions. That's the only kind of slight advantage. Anyway, I did a whole plan thinking, okay, well, let's try and fire it here. We've got the contacts, we've got people, we know we can do it. But that added like another whole kind of worms. And it just went completely sort of spidery. Okay, cool, I'll release your music for you if you use him or him. So then I have to go and do my homework and find out who these people are. And then suddenly there are loads more unknowns, and you might as well be back here on social media level, and it's all unknown, because if you're you might go viral, maybe, and that's your unknown. But have I explained that very well? Probably not.
No, that makes I mean, it makes sense to me. So
I know.
But yes, the publisher had their list of things we had to do, which we potentially weren't exactly expecting.
No,
which is fine. Happy to do that route, and we wanted to do the right route, as you said. So at this point, you were also writing other songs. And actually, creatively, that was quite a priority at the time.
Yes.
Because for whatever reason, we sort of thought, oh, this will be quite amazing. your head is full of all these lyrics and things you want to say.
And they were rife at that point.
Yes.
Yeah. It was important to get things down then and there. I'm sure I could recreate that now, but it's not quite the same as what I wrote back then. But yes, no, you're right.
Absolutely. And then, so as you say, you did your homework. The two guys, the publishers, this is where to record. That's what we were looking at.
Which studio are we going to go to?
Yeah. And you picked a studio, and they asked for a few demos, and Overboard didn't make the list.
It did not. No, it didn't, did it?
No.
And that was interesting, because that was a weird little kind of, I remember it was just before Christmas, and I was told, right, okay, get 15 or 12 or 15 songs over to me, or maybe it was 10. But anyway, and I was like rushing to get 10 songs over to this recording engineer for him to then give notes back to me, sort of constructively, obviously. And then from that point on, I've never understood it's like who's quite in control. It's not quite clear who actually sort of has the sign off. That's always very confusing. Anyway, in the position we were in, I was like, well, I'm obviously going to take advice from anyone and everyone who's in the industry far longer than me, who knows what they're talking about, who has successes that they can sort of clearly prove. So I'm like, well, you know what you're doing. If you think this song and this song are the ones to make, we could only afford to do the two to begin with, 2 songs. And Overboard wasn't picked, and they were picked for completely different reasons. The songs that were picked to record were for some very different reasons. For the reason I actually started doing music, they were for, okay, well, these ones will be the most appeal to the masses kind of thing. And actually, and I've gone in thinking, well, I just want to tell my story.
But that is it. Because at this point, like as you're saying, this is before Christmas. This is Christmas 2022. And you'd started writing. I mean, some of these have got lyrics in and sort of melodies that you honed years and years ago and you built on. But as a general kind of path, 2022 had been, right, let's start Dulcima as a musical act. And for that year, you'd focused on telling your story, how to tell your story, in what order to tell your story. A whole sort of motivation of, this is going to be me. And Overboard was always the beginning. It's the start of the story. And when you start releasing more, there'll be sort of a line of storytelling that does go backwards because you've got a lot to say. But at that point, Overboard started the whole story. Right.
Absolutely.
This is where I am at. This is what's started this, read into it what you will.
Yeah.
And then to be told,
Okay,
actually, this is not how you're going to start your story. And it massively played with our minds. It didn't sit well.
Yeah, well, it was like, oh, okay, what is it undermined rather, the sort of basis of what we'd been structuring and planning
for a year,
for all of that time. And yeah, with us, and I think the way we both think, that really kind of, what are we doing now?
How do we make
oh
this
God, are we gonna crowbar it into the plan we had, or create a new plan, or a new narrative? I sort of thought, well, I can sort of do that a little bit, but in the end, Overboard has come out first. After all that.
Yeah, after all that. So the other two are recorded.
Yeah.
They are in the works and they will be arriving.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that we've thrown our toys out the pram, got our way, or any of the above.
No.
But some things in music take longer than you expect.
Oh my goodness, don't they? Oh my goodness, yeah. And the one thing I've gone away learning is that, to me, how do I say this in a good way?
Carefully.
You don't always pay for what you get. You don't always get what you pay for, rather.
Yep.
Money does not equal everything.
Yeah. And I think our timeline, we just wanted to put music out.
Yeah.
We wanted to tell your story.
Yeah.
And looking back now, potentially we were really rushing. And if we'd have done it like more so ourselves, or just thrown it out on social media platforms or YouTube, self-done, and a lot of what we have done, it has been self-done, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Then it would have just been perhaps for our benefit, for the fans' benefit as well, people who knew you.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have made you a performing artist, as actually properly releasing music does.
Yes, exactly.
So we have done it the right way.
Yeah.
But I think we consciously got to a point where we were like, we've released you on social media. We've said Dulcima music is coming.
Yeah.
How many times can you say Dulcima music is coming,
I hate
release
that.
a cover and still not have anything?
Yeah.
Because these dates are getting missed and missed and missed.
Yeah.
So we then put Overboard back on the table ourselves.
Yeah.
We want to give people something. We knew how we wanted the story to start. The other two hadn't developed how we'd hoped they would.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And
so
the show
go on.
prompted.
Well, the show massively
prompted it.
Yeah.
So we need something.
Yeah, we want to release music.
Let's blooming get them.
Yeah. So Overboard was done. Overboard had a great demo. Time to record it.
Oh my God, this was it was such comparatively such a slick journey to get Overboard done. It was so quick and easy, but also it was so enjoyable and weirdly so nostalgic in the best way possible for me. We went back. It was actually, and that's the other thing, there weren't more people than necessary. It was me and Dan Lucas from Joplin House, which was Anchor Baby Studios. So the first ever recording studio I stepped into was Anchor Baby Studios when I was about 19. I'm now 30 something. So so long ago. And he completely understood. He'd seen the whole journey of all of the past 10 years or more. And he knew straight away he was straight on the same page. Like, he knew that there didn't need to be any kind of practicing on how to be recorded. He knew when I'm good and proper. I kind of knew how to handle a microphone. But sometimes not. Sometimes you have to go through this whole stage of getting to know someone really well before they get how you're like when you're recorded. Dan knew that. And also, it was I literally sat next to him all the time. I wasn't recording singing or I was sat next to him as close as we are and looking at the screen and we were literally picking, and you could speak really freely. Have a bit more of that, less of that, more of that. Can we have that bit there? Can we, and it was so fluid, so easy. And a few little bits from my original demo made it into that last final official track, which was fine. Dan made it much more professional.
But that's the thing with the demo, is you will keep at it on a demo until you're happy with it.
Yeah.
So to then have a demo go into a recording studio and be completely changed, is heartbreaking.
It's absolutely, and demos you listen to them so much because you're honing the sound, you're tweaking the sound. And that, you're right, you end up with a demo that, if it's if it's a good one, or if you like it, you really like it, because everything is there for a reason, and you had the option to change anything before. So so when you walk away from a studio recording session and none of that is in the new recording, it's like, am
I as happy with it as I should
am I
be?
actually? Yeah.
And that's not to say you don't take on other people's thoughts, ideas, and
you have to sort of go in with okay, we're collaborating brain, not I'm going to bring my vision to life brain. Yeah, very different styles of looking at things.
Yeah,
because actually, yes, some people will add huge amounts of things that you wouldn't have brought to it yourself. Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So Overboard is recorded, mixed, mastered.
Yeah.
Within a week. Yeah.
Straight away, it's done.
It sounds incredible.
I'm over the moon. You're over the moon.
Absolutely over the moon. I think at that point it felt real. As much as sort of the booking was in the calendar, it's going to be recorded.
Yeah.
Because of the journey we'd gone through with recording other songs, it was a bit like, it's not done until it's done.
Yeah. No. I need it. I need the finished one. Yeah. And I need the file that says final master.
Yes.
Not monotone.
Yeah.
Not anything else. Like, that's no good. We need the final file there.
Done.
Then we can do stuff with it.
Yeah.
Then we can start the next fun bit.
Next step. So it needed a music video.
Then we did a music, which again, it was kind of I did the classic thing. Classic me. And if anyone follows my social media, you'll see, I think I even made a point of saying I always try and overextend myself. We all know this.
No.
Oh, shut up. I was wondering which response you were going to go for. Yeah, I was going to do it. But yeah, I had big visions for all sorts of reasons.
There was tell people what they've missed out on.
Yeah, well, yes, and there was quite a cool
there's
theme.
Always been a theme.
And it was quite good. And I'm slightly sad we didn't do it. So, right.
Well, to be fair,
yeah.
So I'm doing
No.
Because this was always song number one, and 3 years ago, we thought we were just going to be able to throw it out there ourselves.
Yeah.
There's been this vision of what the music video was going to be twice.
Yes.
Because at one point we did actually stand on your patio and the whole plan. And we're going to drive to the beach the day after
and do it.
And then that.
Yeah. Because and that's the thing. You've got so many factors involved with making like a music video, for instance. And we ricocheted between, right, do we hire big people with big fancy equipment, or do we just use our phones? You've got a really decent phone, me slightly less so, but between us, people do that, and it's actually passable, and we can edit with it,
And bear in mind, at this point, music hasn't made any money.
No,
at any point for you over the last however long, and that might be quite hard for some people to believe, but you've not really ever made money out of music. And that was what the social media. I give away some of these things on social media, and one of the things I said was, there is no. Why do I want to do music? It's definitely not to make money. Yeah. Because it's not an obvious money maker. Yeah. If you want to make a huge amount, don't go into music. Unless everything costs.
From an artist's point of view.
Recording, mixing, mastering, making the music video.
Yeah. Even to sign off a song, you have to effectively pay. Yeah. And it's not cheap, really. And it racks up. So that's
it's very much got your theories down a bit. Sort of the ideas have gone from gold standard to affordable.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoestring.
Yes.
Shoestring, but creative. And I think that is something I'd always advise anyone going in. Like, work with what you can see in front of you. Yeah. If you can do something with that stuff, you're onto a winner. Yeah. Don't try and go in with big flighty visions. But
your big flighty vision was?
So, the final video long story coming. The final video that was ever done with the band, that it was called Crash and Burn, and it was predominantly me, and actually I was told, right, Dulce, we need a video, can you sort of do it? Because I was singing mostly in it. I was like, right, okay, cool. The video ends with me, for one reason or another, walking sedately into Kentish sea into
On
the
the
channel.
3rd of January.
On the 3rd of January.
2021, I think. And I remember that day like it was yesterday.
I think we bonded heavily that day.
Oh, we did.
You brought so much stuff, and I thought, oh my goodness, this girl is so clever. She thinks ahead, she thinks of everything.
8 hot water bottles,
Yeah.
blankets,
You bought all
food,
this stuff on this
drinks,
cold day.
towels.
I've just bought a towel. I don't think it would.
No,
I
don't
brought a
need water.
towel. Maybe I'll just, I'll just get cold on the way home and put the heater on in the car.
No, 6 a.m. on a Kentish beach in January.
Oh my God, yeah, mad. So, that was the thing. So the last of that story, of that era, of that chapter, was me doing this sort of disappearance. And I thought, how cool would it be for the first video of this next chapter for me to be emerging slowly from the sea? Given that the song was called Overboard, there were so many cool themes that we could have got with that. I don't mind that we haven't done that, actually. I love the idea, and maybe one day we can do another video to it, maybe, or some animation or something a bit easier. But
and this did nearly happen, to be fair.
it did.
It was so close to happening.
It was. Yeah.
If anything, weather is pretty much what stopped it happening.
Yes, you're right. It was weather, and ironically, it always ends up being winter when I want to do these things. But still, so yeah, winter itself is always a bit of a difficult time to film. You've got limited daylight. Obviously, it's going to be darker in every way. But there was that. But also, I then ran away with myself, because that's one sort of concept you can have in a music video. Mm-hmm. You need other stuff. You can't just have it one long walk. No. And that's where my brain started going a little bit fancy free. But we could have reined that in a bit, actually, quite easily. And we nearly... No, we were never going to rein that in.
We were never going to rein that in. There were going to be people in cloaks.
Yeah.
There were going to be smoke bombs. There was going to be...
The smoke grenades are great.
Yeah.
I really did. I was getting extras involved at one point. Yeah. I like that. I think big.
Oh, I love it.
It's not stressful at all.
No.
That's why you're with me. But so what was it actually in the end? Because of course, people who have seen the music video for Overboard, they'll see it's nothing like this.
Absolutely nothing.
And it's very, very, very contained, actually. And that was partly, again, that is an example of me. So time restraints, to an effect, kind of cost restraints in a way. But also it's that taking what's there, taking what's in front of you. If you get an offer from this, or basically really a really good director of photography, that is a photographer in the studio called Richard, had said, love to do a music video, can we do it? And he was going to get on board with the beach and go out on location and everything. Due to
we weren't sure he was 100%.
We didn't. He showed he was keen. He said, yeah, cool, up for anything. Are you there, Richard?
Yeah. There's a storm coming. Maybe.
You've got fancy gear, haven't you?
I don't blame you.
You don't have to be snowed on, do you?
I love it when other people have to rein you in as well. That really helps me out.
He was keen. It was the weather really buggered that.
Yes.
The weather did mess that up.
The weather.
Yeah. And other legitimate permissions and things, which are a pain in the proverbial. But anyway, the end thing was that we got a studio with a backdrop, multiple colours. You could choose whatever colour. So I was like, okay, cool. That's an element we can use. Obviously, clothing I'll always try and make whatever I wear. But also, to an extent, I didn't want to make... This was the first video.
It's an introduction to how the rest is going to go.
Exactly. Yeah. It's exactly that. It's like a sort of, hello, this is me. Because it's not always going to be fans maybe from the band who have seen it. I need to, there might be new faces that might want to see my music. So it was really good it reined me in, I think. Reined me in, sorry. Because it kind of meant, okay, cool, strip right back. Tell the story. And that's what I ended up doing.
The lyrics in Overboard are so poignant to the time and to the feeling. And I know that's probably a really bizarre thing to say, because I lived through it and I was kind of part of it. So I do see it from a different side than other people perhaps know.
Yes.
That you just being able to sit there as a presence on camera and say it out loud actually in the end meant a lot more.
Yeah, I
You
think
can
you're right.
do all the artsy thing. You can do all the, walking into the sea and all this.
Yeah.
But literally sitting there,
That's true.
face on, saying a lyric meant so much.
That is so true. Actually, yes, because, and that was definitely, I wouldn't say a pitfall that we fell into in the years previously, but we were so intent on doing artsy, creative videos. A lot of people love them, but it did mean you were looking at the imagery and the weird ideas and the other storyline that was being told, not necessarily listening to the words.
Yeah.
So that was a really good thing to sort of say, okay, actually, no, these words do really matter. And that was a big thing of like, the reason I want to make music is because these are finally words I can truly shout and believe, unlike before. So I wanted to that was a really good part of making the music video much more simple.
Yeah. And I think there's a massive narrative through all the lyrics you're going to sing.
Yeah.
Through all the songs you're going to release, and if and when we get to an album, how the album is formatted.
Yeah.
There's also going to be a massive narrative to all of the music videos.
Yeah.
And we've recorded another one that is due to come out. And again, to some people, it might seem like a really simple concept.
Yeah.
But it actually says so much more.
Yeah.
Not in just the lyrics, but in you being able to tell your story.
And you can see a bit more there. Yeah. That one is, I want to
we will get
that one's very, everything in that video means a lot. Every element, location, outfit, whatever, actions, singing, even the people involved. That's true. Yeah. Huge, really meaningful that.
Okay, so music video recorded.
Yep.
Release.
Yeah. So I think we both found this. Are we ever going to explain what you do here?
I just sit here and ask questions.
People don't
go for it.
People won't quite understand how instrumental.
Yeah, I do keep saying we, don't know, and it's probably quite.
But also, you are.
Odd.
Shall we come back to that? Let's finish talking about release, and then we must have a bit of a Laura moment.
Oh gosh.
Because it is important. That should be right at the start, maybe the next one.
Leave hanging.
Okay.
Episode 3.
Mystery woman.
Mystery bossy woman.
You seem to know everything. No, right. Releasing music. To me, that's always been a bit of a scrambly, head scramble, because I'm like, right, I don't actually know how to do that. I don't know what the first step is.
And I think we thought right from the beginning, right, we get a publisher, we work with a publisher, we do it properly.
They do it. Yeah. And that is the point of them.
Yeah. And we had gone down that route, and they were kind of in control of what will be the next 2 singles, but they didn't want this song. Yes, that's a massive part of the story.
Yeah,
they didn't want this song. And that's not to say we wouldn't have got to this song, but at this point they didn't want this song. The other 2 weren't ready. We'd had all these kind of, we're releasing music, it's coming soon, it will be here.
Got to do something.
And then, as you say, the show pushed it, so we did it on our own.
Yep, absolutely. Which meant a lot of Googling.
It meant a lot of Googling. People release music every day. We could do this. We were sure we could.
Yeah.
And for us, it was kind of it was a bit of a soft launch. And actually the song, it's a bizarre way to put it, because the song is so precious to us.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it did well.
It
didn't matter to go out with the publisher and, it must go everywhere and everyone must hear it. The right people are going to find this song.
Yeah.
And they're going to relate to it.
And they're going to get it.
And I honestly, if we were the only people that had it, I wouldn't have cared.
Same.
But you've been playing it for the last couple of years when we do festivals and shows and stuff, so we knew it had a good reception anyway.
Yeah.
Whether or not people had really read into it as much as perhaps you were prepared to tell was different.
Yeah.
And they probably may well go back and listen to it again now after this conversation and hear it very differently.
Yeah.
But we just wanted it out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was our...
But you're right. It is that thing of I just want to see it literally published. I want to see it there. If the public want it, they can take it. If they don't, I don't mind too much. And that's kind of part of my ethos in doing music at all.
Yeah.
Is if I'm bogged down by who likes it, who wants to see it, who doesn't like it, you grind to a halt.
Yeah.
So I will let's maintain this.
Yeah,
and just be we're telling a story via the medium of music and video, and it's really fun, frankly. But so release music means all you want to do is get it publicly available for people on a certain date. You want to make sure it's definitely going to be available on that date because you're promising people. So that in itself is all these platforms. You've got Spotify,
Amazon Music, Deezer, everywhere.
Apple Music, and so you did a bit of fantastic researching, and there are platforms you can do that do it for you. Basically,
it's really simple on paper.
Yeah,
because and I actually use Spotify to do it, and they kind of say they have all these blogs and stuff. Do you want to release music? This is how you do it.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Let's sit for an evening and read all of this.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And you can sign up to essentially an online distribution company.
Yeah.
You fill out a load of their paperwork. You pay them a sum of money. You upload your file.
Yeah. And
it's done.
God.
I had never slept less.
On the 20th of February.
My gosh. I remember releasing music with the band.
Yeah.
And we handed it over to the publisher, and you knew it was going to happen. And you almost, not that it ever did, I think maybe a couple of times, maybe one of the platforms, like it would come out on Spotify and it wouldn't come out on Apple or something.
Okay.
And that was just a tech
thing.
issue.
Yeah.
And you ring the publisher and go, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Sort it out. When you're the one that's hit the button and gone, 21st of February, go.
Schedule.
You then hear pretty much nothing.
No, of course.
A couple of emails come in.
You can't check.
You can't check.
Preview. You can't
anything. Yeah. And I think the hard lesson to learn was when you are established in these places, Spotify, blah, 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 the account is there. The profile is there. When you are not and it is your first one, there is nothing.
Yeah, so you can't see what your profile picture is going to look like. You can't see what it doesn't feel like you've done enough. You've given them enough info.
I am a planner. I'm an organizer. And if I can do anything in advance, I will.
Yeah.
And in my head, you set up your Spotify for artists.
Yeah.
There'll probably be somebody who's done this and they're like, no, you've done it all wrong. It doesn't matter, the music's out there, don't tell me. But I want the profile to be live. I want to be able to click on it and know that it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then none of that happened.
No.
And we were deep in getting ready for revival as well. And I was kind of like, right, let me take this. It's fine. You carry on. You've got so much to do. Honestly.
So a lot of this panic went over my... Good. And I'm quite glad because otherwise, of course, doing the show
I didn't want to pass any of it on.
You were amazing.
But
you dealt with it so well.
It's terrifying.
Because
as you say, we've done all this campaign announcement, and if you go on the Dulcima Music Instagram, like, we're trying to be quite clever with it, and the tiles are all matching, and we created this campaign so in advance that was coming out on Friday, coming out on the 21st, music will be live in 3 days, like all of this. What if it doesn't come out? There's nothing to say. It's going to do it.
Sorry story.
I couldn't get my head around how at the strike of midnight was a whole profile and music going to appear on 8 different platforms at the click of a button.
Also, we had the timing. Not my button. It's not my control. But also the timing issue.
Yeah,
not once. I don't think you'd put
an American company, and it's like, well, does that mean it's going to our midnight? Their midnight. Our 7 a.m. Something's wrong.
It was very fun. No, I know.
I thought. No, it was great. But I think I got up at I don't think I went to bed prior to midnight anyway to check. And then I think I woke back up at 3:30 to check it was real.
Yeah. I think I've definitely received a screenshot from you later in the day, in the morning.
Yeah.
But you couldn't mask the fact it was 3 a.m. or 2:30, whatever.
It was ridiculous. But we've done it now. The second one.
Done it.
Well, the second one I handed over to the publisher anyway.
And that's a good point. Yes.
But so Overboard is out there.
And what was funny about that weekend, it all became such a whirlwind because, of course, we had the show.
Yes.
And you can't ever get around that because you have a show in honor of something like a release or, that you've done something big. So the big project, the big song or the big album always then kind of gets trumped by this show.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, okay, hang on. I don't feel we've given enough credit to each thing.
Everything's diluted.
Everything's, yeah.
And I think with the show, because between us, and I know we obviously went into this last time completely, but we did it all. It wasn't just that we headlined somewhere
when
they were doing everything. But So Overboard is out there.
Yes.
If you haven't, go and listen to it.
Let's do it.
If you want to read more into it, go back and listen to it. The music video went live that evening. Also terrifying.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that again, first time scheduling YouTube. We're quite first timers at this, aren't we?
That's the thing. Yeah, it was.
Next time
it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Music video went out, which is great. Followed that with a lyric video as well.
Yep.
And then we put out an acoustic video, which I would like to do a couple of minutes on.
Yes.
Because that was exciting.
And that was so, again, the timeline is so
insane.
Mad.
Yeah.
So mad.
And I think this is where we were so optimistic of how everything was going to work out.
Well, yeah. And I wouldn't want that bit to change.
No.
Because that's great. But we did a proper bulk.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. When we filmed this acoustic version of Overboard, it was a year and a half ago, 2 years.
September 23.
Okay, so a year and a half ago, and it was in Dover. Yes, it was a boiling hot day, which seems mad now. Thankfully, the song wasn't changed at all, really, between then and through the recording process. I've now learned to do these things all in a slightly different order because the recording process of a song can quite easily change the song, and some big part of the song might get changed. So if you've recorded your acoustic version of a song well before, it's going to be really odd and mismatched.
And that was our naivety. We should have known better.
We should have.
But in our minds, we had all this time on our hands.
Yeah.
And we know what's needed. We know we wanted lyric videos, music videos, acoustic videos, photo shoots, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we were like, get it all built now.
Yeah.
Then as soon as the music goes out, it's all there ready to go.
Plenty of stuff. Yeah. And actually, so we filmed that on a day, and again, we were very efficient about the way we dealt with that weekend because we had 2 days of filming. We did get a friend in to come and do the filming. She was really brilliant, really pro. And we got 2 bods to come and help do behind the scenes, which was excellent. 3 bods actually to do behind the scenes. And obviously you, me, and the venue manager. So there were a whole group of us there. And if you have seen the acoustic video, you'll see it's a stunning location. And that was an absolute, when I remember walking in there, thinking, can't fail to get lovely footage in here. We have that big piano, which basically I thought, right, while we've got all of this stuff at our disposal, we need to make the most of it. So let's not film 1 video. Let's not film 2. Let's film 5 or 8. 8. No, I think you're right, because we did 4 one day and 4 the other day. And there were a few outfit changes, which again, I mean, I always look back and critique, but whatever. But no, it was that thing of actually, so we've not only got that 1 video from that setting, we have 8, as we said, and these are for songs who knows when they'll come out. Yeah. Given the rate of things, how slow it is to release songs, but it was just crazy to think it was that long ago. Yeah.
But it suited it. It was a great weekend recording them. Yeah. And as you say, we're so lucky it hasn't changed that much.
Exactly. It's just those the other 7 songs now. We have to be
question marks on
we now have to be quite close. Well, or just whatever, have it how it is. The song changes, it changes. But it is it's like a sort of proof of how tangly the whole process can be. So, but I mean, now we would do it again, probably a bit tidier. But
yes, definitely.
And some things slowed us down, as we know, and that really stalls things and messes everything up. And I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
so that was how Overboard came to be.
How it was born.
Anything else on the lyrics or the story of Overboard?
Well, no, we have to. I do feel bad because I keep going, it's about the cruise, but that's because it's not about the cruise at all.
No,
that's because that was the initiation of writing the song. And the reason we were so adamant it was first is because it was more than just me. It was a trigger point of like, okay. For anyone that's heard the song, it is quite angry, and it's kind of bursting out of like, okay, I'm not going to be quiet anymore. And even that is a big point to make in a way, because up until that point, I was actually scared. to even like talk about making music,
Yeah.
or especially publicly. Hell no, I wouldn't do that. But within the group I was in, it was not a thing. To say I was going to go and do my own music, no. So that's why it was a big thing to suddenly be like, no, I'm going to do music and I'm not even going to be apologetic about it.
Yeah.
That's why Overboard had to have some tones of like anger, and you sort of like, you've driven me now to make music. Like, even though obviously I was always going to go back and do solo music as I did it when I was a teenager. Yeah.
But it created the journey, didn't it?
Oh, it created such a good journey. And there are so many more. I can't wait to get the other ones out.
Yes.
I mean, there are
hopefully soon.
hopefully soon.
That's the plan.
We need to make it a well-oiled machine as of now, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Lovely sitting down with you again.
And you, next time,
okay,
we're going to start with Laura moment.
Okay.
A Laura sesh.
Why do you exist?
We need to explain why you're here.
Okay.
Why is it not, someone else? We need to explain. It's very important that it's you.
Brilliant.
Yeah. That's great.
Lovely.
Okay, what's our sign off again?
We haven't got one.
Okay,
we
cool.
did this last time.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
And I'm thinking, no